Um, my name is Carl. I'm a creative director at TBWA. I've been here for a short while, but I've been asked to speak about how to motivate people, which for me was quite a tough topic to talk to. I think there is the obvious way of motivating people, and this is probably what everyone thinks.
Let me tell you something. There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. Because at least as a rich man, when I have to face my problems, I show up in the back of a limo wearing a $2,000 suit and a $40,000 gold fucking watch.
Money. I think everyone thinks that money is the answer to everything. I think for me, money is a short-term fix for a current space that someone might be in. There is the way that everyone thinks we motivate people in advertising. I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but in South Africa, there is a certain culture. I apologize for the swearing.
Mr. Hanna, what can I bring for you on this glorious afternoon?
Well, Hector, here's the game plan. You're gonna bring us 2 absolute martinis. You know how I like them, straight up. And then precisely 7½ minutes after that, you're gonna bring us 2 more. Then 2 more after that, every 5 minutes until one of us passes the fuck out.
Excellent strategy, sir.
I'm good with water for now, though. Thank you.
It's his first day on Wall Street. Give him time.
Alcohol. Another short-term fix, but not necessarily something that can really help motivate people. So just a little bit about myself. I've worked for 12 different agencies. I'm 105 years old, not really. I've worked for 17 bosses, actually, which was, for me, when I thought about this, I was like, sure, I've moved around a lot. What this has done is it's enabled me to become the sort of guru on bosses. And in terms of motivating people, I looked at the different kinds of leaders that I've worked for. And I looked at the different kinds of stereotypes that those leaders have kind of given me, or kind of outlined. So I'm not going to speak to all 17 stereotypes. I'll speak to a couple of them, 8 of them. First one is the know-it-all boss. And this is the person who knows it all. They're not open to any suggestions or input from anyone else. Not necessarily the best boss to work for. I have worked for one of those. The great creative, terrible leader boss. Great creatives in their own right, but not necessarily able to manage people or able to motivate people. As it's the difference between the manager and the worker. They're great as workers, but not necessarily the best managers. My company, I make all the rules, boss. My way or the highway. Again, not open to any input. I'll speak a little bit about it. I think a great leader, because for me, leading, I've looked at leading, and I've looked at that as a way to motivate people. Great leaders have many different aspects, different facets that make up a great leader. I think it's being able to be a good creative on the creative side, or good manager, or the person who generates the work. It's being able to have good strategic insight, a whole lot of different aspects, but I'll speak a little bit more to that. You'll fear me, boss, the person who reigns with fear. You don't want to put a foot wrong. I can't make a decision, boss. I don't know if any of you have worked for them, him, her. This one also leads to the next one, which is, oh, sorry about that. There we go. Can't make a decision, boss. I'm second guessing my boss. Also not being able to make a decision. There's the, I'll get back to you, boss. Someone who avoids the topic. They're like, sure. You know, I'll come to you later. I'll see you later, but they never really commit. They don't really steer you or kind of, you know, put a stick in the ground and say, this is what we're doing. They avoid the issue in front of them. The best boss in the world, boss. I don't know if I'm one of those, but I have been fortunate enough to work for one of those. And I'm saying this, I know it's on tape, I'm probably working for one of those as well, fortunately. Okay, I'll unpack the best boss in the world a little later. But what I did was, in terms of my research, I looked at Forbes. I think it's an acceptable standard in terms of who they think the 10 qualities or the 10 qualities of great leaders are. Honesty. Set the standard. Your business and its employees are a reflection of yourself. Be honest, and everyone else will follow suit. It's one of the qualities that they say make up a good leader. Delegate. Delegate is important because delegate for me is having trust in the people that you work for. So identify team members' strengths, capitalize on them. This builds trust and helps you become more efficient. As a leader, you can't kind of try and tackle everything all at once. I think as control freaks, sometimes OCD people, we try and manage everything, but the reality is you spread thin. You need to be able to trust your team and be able to delegate. And I don't know why that keeps happening, but you need to understand keynote. Communicate. Share your vision with your team. Work towards the same goal. I'll speak a little bit about this. I mean, we deal with this in inspiration. Have an open line of communication. Teams will trust you. They'll work harder. I think that trust thing is quite important. And the ability to communicate with your team is also quite important. To share your goal, for people to feel like you're approachable. It builds a stronger level of trust within the team. Humor. It was quite simple. Morale is linked to productivity. If everyone's happy, they'll work harder. For me, there's this thing. It's like it's ownership. You know, if you're working within an agency or in a team, you're responsible for something. It's transferring that responsibility to someone else. And I think for me, to get the best out of someone else, you've got to make them feel like they own that problem, that issue in front of them. I think that's the way that you can get someone to really work, to really apply themselves, to work 24, 48 hours or whatever it is from themselves, not because you're pushing them to do that. Confidence. Setbacks are natural. You've got to keep calm as a leader. You've got to be able to focus on the goal. You've got to confidently maintain the momentum within the company. Everyone else will follow suit. Just for the record, the pictures and the theme don't marry, so I could see. Keep a positive attitude. I think he does, Mr. Gandhi. Keep connected. Buy snacks, coffee, alcohol, maybe money. Dispense advice. A happy, positive team works harder, according to Forbes. Intuition, your gut feeling. I think it comes with experience. Some people are probably stronger at this than others, but intuition is the thing that helps you make a decision when there is no sort of set example or you haven't been in that situation before. I think intuition is important, and you, as a leader, you have to stick to what your gut tells you. I think for me, a leader, the best leaders I've had, the best boss in the world is someone who goes, this is it, and whether they're right or wrong, they stick to it, and they trust their gut, and I think that's very important. Inspire. Forecast. Make the team feel invested in your vision. I think for me, inspiration isn't just this. It's also being able to kind of set a level of everything to kind of aspire towards. You know, I think it's like the Pied Piper thing. If you can kind of show examples to your team of what you think great work is, I'm saying this from a creative point of view, you're all singing the same tune. You can't all be singing different tunes. So inspiration is very important from that point of view. It's also important because it helps you see what is possible. Generate enthusiasm for the company's accomplishments. This for me was also important, was inspiration takes the focus of current issues. It's like when we look at great work, we feel inspired, it takes us away from where we currently are. It makes us feel like, or makes us believe that anything is possible. And for me, inspiration is very important from that point of view. Creativity doesn't speak to him. Some decisions are not always clear-cut. You'll be forced to think outside the box, especially when choosing between two bad options. So you've got to think outside the box. I think it is quite important for any leader when you've got to make sort of decisions off the cuff. Okay, so that's Forbes. So my learnings. This best boss in the world that I've worked for me primarily, he was a psychologist first. He wasn't a boss, he was a psychologist. He understood people. He understood how he could push people and pull them. He understood their strengths and weaknesses, and he could capitalize on that. So for me in the creative department, he was a psychologist first, he was a creative director second. Be selfless. Don't be precious. Precious is good, you know, to kind of keep control of something. But preciousness can kind of isolate you. It kind of stops you from being open to any other input. It's the opposite of the know-it-all boss. You know, being selfless allows you to accept input from anywhere else, from any other source, and it can take that job that's in front of you and it can take it somewhere else that's beyond your sort of abilities maybe. This is hopefully not a spoiler alert. Fear. Fear is important, but actually the word is probably respect. I think having a good boss who kind of connects with you, who's approachable, has an open line of communication is fantastic. But I think you have to know that you don't want to upset that person, you don't want to disappoint that person, you've got to live up to a certain standard. Respect is important, and a certain level of fear is very important, not that kind of fear though. That's too far. Encourage this. Let others be different and better than you. Your success is based on their success, or their success is based on your success. It's the other way around, both ways, you know. I think if you can encourage or motivate your team, it helps you perform. I mean, I'm quite straight about it. I say to people, if you do good, I look good. That's simple. You know, I'm quite transparent about that. I've got a video clip over here at Steve Jobs, the late Steve Jobs. I'll just play it. I thought it was quite relevant with all this kind of stuff in mind that I've spoken about.
One of the keys to Apple is Apple's an incredibly collaborative company. And so, you know how many committees we have at Apple?
No.
0. We have no committees.
No committees.
We are organized like a startup. One person's in charge of iPhone OS software. One person's in charge of Mac hardware. One person's in charge of iPhone hardware engineering. Another person's in charge of worldwide marketing. Another person's in charge of operations. We're organized like a startup. We're the biggest startup on the planet. And we all meet for 3 hours once a week, and we talk about everything we're doing, the whole business. And there's tremendous teamwork at the top of the company, which filters down to tremendous teamwork throughout the company. And teamwork is dependent on trusting the other folks to come through with their part without watching them all the time, but trusting that they're going to come through with their parts. And that's what we do really well. And we're great at figuring out how to divide things up into these great teams that we have and all work on the same thing, touch bases frequently, and bring it all together into a product. We do that really well. And so what I do all day is meet with teams of people and work on ideas and solve problems to make new products, to make new marketing programs, whatever it is.
And are people willing to tell you you're wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, other than snarky journalists. I mean, people that work for you.
Oh, yeah. No, we have wonderful arguments.
And do you win them all? Or?
Oh, no, I wish I did. No, see, you can't. If you want to hire great people and have them stay working for you, you have to let them make a lot of decisions, and you have to be run by ideas, not hierarchy. The best ideas have to win.
So,
otherwise, good people don't stay.
But you must be more than a facilitator who runs meetings. You obviously contribute your own ideas.
I contribute ideas, sure. Well, why would I be there if I didn't?
People, specifically. I ignored the brief, so I made it 6 points of motivating people. Sorry about that. Spend time with your team. If you're going to be a psychologist, then get to know your team, know what their strengths and weaknesses are, know how to kind of push and pull, know what the issues are, regular sort of, touching base with them. Just allows you to kind of understand where the team is and then capitalize on them. Schedule inspiration sessions regularly. I think it's important. I think it's a thing of taking you away from where you currently are. You focus on what is possible. You focused on what you can achieve. You also focus on what you can, what's kind of happening out there. You're up to date with what's happening in the market. Be honest. If I needed to work this weekend, I can lie, but those lies start adding up. So I'm quite honest with people when I need more out of them. The work, it's all about the work. It's nothing else. I think if you're in the creative industry and you're not about the work and you're about politics or you're about a whole lot of other stuff, I think the work suffers, and that for me has become quite important actually. What I didn't include here, so it'll be 7 tips. It's part of the honesty thing, but is to speak to people on their level. I think when you speak above them, or I think people feel it. I know what it's like when I ask people to do stuff, and often we have to do that. It's like, this isn't great, but I think speak to them on their level. There was a clip that I didn't include, but it was David Droga from Droga 5, and he was speaking about, I got to get my hands dirty, I got to be there with you. I can't like, tell you, okay, cool, you're going to be working for 48 hours. I'm going to go for dinner, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. I think set an example, but be on your team's level. I think it helps a lot in terms of motivating them. It's going to sound weird. It sounds like I'm sucking up, but speak disruption. Disruption is almost the trump card when you walk into a meeting and you're trying to sell work. I've seen it here. We suddenly say, is that work disruptive? And the client's like, no, yeah, of course, because we can do better than that. But I think you've got to speak that disruption with your team before you even get to the boardroom space. It's the thing that sets you apart. It's the thing that takes the work and takes it to the next level. I think we can all kind of generate work that kind of answers the brief, but I think it's another thing to generate work that it goes way above that and beyond that. This is quite important, believe. I think if you don't believe in what you're doing, it's hard for your team to do that. And I think you've got to instill that belief in what you're doing, in your purpose, in your goal, in your common goal. You've got to instill in your team. Because without that, you've got no direction. Thank you. Cool.